Dave Petzo joining us here on KIDO Talk Radio. I do want to thank you for filling in last week. I heard you were getting political.
Well, see, it's hard not to. It's hard not to.
Yeah.
Politics are kind of in our life here, yeah.
It is. When we take a look at that, how has that changed your world at all? Has, the markets are like political now, it seems.
They are, and yet they're not. I think with the commentators, because everybody is so political, have a political spin on the markets. And, well, President Trump tweeted this, and that hurt stocks. I think we're all pretty used to President Trump tweeting, maybe not in a nice way, non-presidential, if you will, however you want to say it. But it's I don't think it moves markets unless it is something that is a market-moving decision, like we're moving forward on some more deregulation over here, and we got approval, and this is what we're going to do. And if the market's like that, and when they do like deregulation, it'll move it. But it's not so political in the sense that fundamentals do weigh out.
All right, here's the first softball of the year for Dave Petzo.
Ooh,
government shutdown. I don't know. I'm not even going to say anything. I'm not going to lead the witness. Government shutdown, Dave Petzo.
Yeah, irrelevant to the markets.
No. Your thoughts.
My thought.
On hold on. The man who loves government,
right?
Who always talks about how what the government does is great, wonderful, exciting.
Yes.
He loves big government.
Love it.
Your thoughts on the government shutdown?
I think it just shows that we can shut the government down. It really doesn't impact us at all, or very, very little. And I don't have this tremendous amount of empathy that I should or pretend to, that people do, that it's some kind of a big deal. Economically, it's not. It's just not. And yes, if I was on a trip and heading out and trying to go to all the monuments in D.C., and if they're shut down, then I would not be very happy about ruining my trip. But that's a pretty minor inconvenience to a very major problem, which is the border wall, or, if you will, just immigration reform, period.
So if the government was shut down and no one noticed it was missing, is the government really shut down?
That's a fair point, right. It's a very fair point. If it really doesn't matter and 800,000 people have to picket about it so that we even know that they're not working, I'm wondering how effective they are.
True, but at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, you do have this issue involving the TSA, doubling now the calling in sick. And look, many people don't know about you, Dave Petzo, but you are a self-made man. You are the embodiment of the American dream. You understand what it's like to have nothing, to work from nothing. I mean, you've got these folks that are, paycheck to paycheck,
right,
not doing well, and the libs have them on TV crying the blues, and we're not trying to be insensitive. What about that side of the equation, sir?
No, I agree. I agree that you have people that are working paycheck to paycheck, and it is a problem. I do think it's a problem, and I think they ought to be paid, especially the people that are out there working and are showing up for work. But I do think that we have times in life where things happen, whether you have a sickness, you have an illness, all those things. And again, I have empathy that they are paycheck to paycheck, but I also have to ask the question, why? Why are you paycheck to paycheck? Why can't you go 1 month? What happens if you get sick or hurt? Somebody in your family, you have an emergency that you need some cash and you don't have any? You can't get through 1 month without some kind of reserve. I think it's a lesson for everybody in any field, whether you have been furloughed or not.
Dave Petzo joining us now. Now, Dave, we've been talking a little bit about the grocery tax. We're going to go to Gina in Middleton that wants to talk a little bit about that. Are you comfortable talking to Gina, Dave? Are you good with that?
I hope so.
Okay.
Is she a nice person?
She's a very nice person. Gina, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning. I just was commenting. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't think the grocery tax repeal is that big of a deal. As far as, a deal breaker and a big issue if it doesn't happen this year. When I calculated out for my family, repealing the grocery tax, not paying any tax on my grocery bill would probably work out about the same as what the tax credit is at the end of the year. So I just don't really think that it's that big of an issue.
Wow. Well, you're probably in the minority. Well, hold on. And
probably.
Well, but and all opinions are welcome. Dave Petzo, your thoughts. I've been whining about where's the repeal of the grocery tax. What's it? You like taxes.
Yeah, I don't care, Kevin. I'm with Gina. I am with Gina. I totally am. Way to go, Gina. Thanks for saying it, because you can be the insensitive one, you mean woman, you.
Wow.
That's right. Well, and I have a budget. I stick to my budget, and if I stick, I have 2 growing boys, so sometimes I go over budget. They're hungry. But if I stick to my budget, I'm probably paying less with the tax credit than I am.
What is the tax credit now?
I also have to agree with Dave Petzo on if the government workers, they probably, most of them make decent salaries. Why don't they have a reserve? And I do feel bad for the families that are affected, but I agree, in the long run, I don't think it's that big of an impact, unfortunately. Or fortunately.
Wow. Well, Gina, thank you for the call.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. 580-5436. Gina says the repeal of the grocery tax is not necessary, and people should not be living paycheck to paycheck. On the other hand, you have, what is it, over 800,000 people that aren't working right now.
Right. And I'm just saying, from an economic perspective, Kevin, I mean, there's real people in there and there are real circumstances. And I think that, as Gina pointed out, it's just something that, we are sensitive to the fact that they are not getting their paychecks, and there is some uncertainty in their life, but there's uncertainty in all life. And right now we're having a battle, and the battle is going on, and that's just points to why people should have a reserve. And that's all. I'm just saying, doggone it, we all ought to learn from this, not to heck with them, I don't care.
Well, Jim says, Kevin Miller, 800,000 folks are off right now. They're working without expense. They're on vacation, so to speak. So their time off is not charged against their annual leave. When they do return to work, they'll get paid for all the time that they were off. What a deal!
I agree. Wouldn't you like that deal? I'm gonna be told you can't go to work for a month. Just would make up a period of time, and then I'll pay you back later.
Okay, then what do you and Gina and everybody else say about the people that aren't getting paid, having to go to work, and the capitalists don't care whether you have a paycheck or not? They want the mortgage payment. They want the credit cards. You have these ridiculous things where people say, hey, we're going to, give federal workers this, that, and the other. You have major people saying this is a crisis. Now, again, we feel their pain.
Right.
The press is cranking this up. I think government should be accountable. And, again, Nancy and Chuck seem to think this is, a winning thing to stick to the president. Obviously, they don't want to do this. But, again, there are necessary things that people should be paid.
Kevin, for those folks that are in the military, et cetera, my understanding is they're getting paid. So
the military, right?
Right. 800,000 people is a small part of government workers, correct?
Well, I'm a little bit more sensitive than you, Dave Petzo. I'm a touchy-feely kind of guy.
Well, no. Are you deflecting?
I was just
happy. I was asking an honest question. How many millions of government employees are there?
I was just happy that the air traffic controllers and the TSA were working yesterday so I could get home.
So you could make it home.
Yes. Back to the phone.
Oh, okay.
And we go to Frank in Boise on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Frank.
Well, good morning. Thank you. I just wanted to ask Kevin and David, why are air traffic controllers and dispatchers considered non-essential? You think they'd be essential, and then if they were essential, we wouldn't be having this discussion because they would be getting paid. And I'll take your answer off the air. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm confused too. I thought they were, and I thought they were being paid. So I'm confused. I thought the TSA was considered to be crucial, and I thought that some of them were just stepping off the job or not showing up or whatever, calling in sick as a sympathy or a protest for others. I did not think they were part of the people that weren't getting their paycheck.
Right, but back to this whole issue where people are getting scared. Well, we might not have the same level of safety anymore.
Because, Kevin, everything in media, everything in the news is tragic, horrifying. We will never be the same. It's always going to be terrible, right? It's not whenever we have an act of God, if you will, it's going to be, the damages. We've never seen anything like this. We'll never, New Orleans will never be the same. All those things are just, they're hyperbolic all the time. And I think it's normal.
Let's go back to the phones. Bill in Nampa with Dave Petzo and Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning. Hey, I just wanted to let you know there's a lot of federal law enforcement officers out here required to work. We're not getting paid. How would you guys feel if you were working and not getting paid?
I would have to agree with that, Kevin. This is the question that I have. If 800,000 people are not getting paid, why are the other millions getting paid? Who is getting paid and who is not getting paid? Do you understand, sir? Do you know that?
I don't know, but I do know that the majority of the Department of Homeland Security, which is probably 100,000 people, are working and not getting paid.
Is TSA getting paid?
Not that I know of.
No.
I don't work for them.
Okay, so TSA is not either.
No.
So who is getting paid? Just
Congress.
FBI? Thank goodness. Clearly, Congress
Nancy
needs to be
Pelosi,
paid.
she's vacationing right now, even as we speak.
I don't know any federal employees that are getting paid right now, and I know hundreds.
Well, that makes sense. I
So,
just
Bill,
didn't understand the difference.
So, Bill, if you were, who do you blame, Bill?
Well, I know we need a wall. We need a solution to the immigration problem. But I also work under the agreement that my labor will be compensated. And I don't know how you rectify that, but it's criminal is what it is. And the last time this happened, there was a class action lawsuit against the government, and the employees won. And we're still waiting for our settlement, but it just accrues interest the longer it goes, and that's what will happen again. It'll cost more.
There's no doubt it'll cost more because they clearly have to catch up in some of the places where the workers are at home and going to get paid. And then they're going to have to work overtime to get caught up, right? I would think.
Indeed. Bill, thank you for the call. Our great friend Ted saying, Kevin, not getting paid to be a wake-up call for every American, or $21 trillion in debt. This is what's going to happen to every American if we don't get our heads out of our butts and all pull together.
You said it.
Sky King, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio. Dave Petzo, Kevin Miller, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. It's good to talk to you again. It's been a while since I've called in, but this issue is very interesting. And the last gentleman that called in, I have to give him kudos that he is working without getting paid. That would take a loyalty and dedication that is pretty rare in today's world. And it's only with the promise that in the future they will get paid, and that's only right that they do. But that brings the distinction between those that have decided they're not going to work because they're not getting paid. And what really troubles me is I'm almost certain, as you folks can attest, or you can make your comment, but I'm almost certain that those people who are refusing to work will get paid just the same as those that are working, and that's a travesty of justice. And I think that they ought to be rewarded for buckling up and doing their duty that is far beyond the call of duty and showing up without a paycheck until it does happen. But those that don't show up, I don't think they should be rewarded the same as those who work. I don't know what you feel about that thing.
Good call. We'll talk about it next, Sky King. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And welcome back, Kevin Miller, Dave Petzo. So back to Sky King's point. Here's another, when he's talking about their duty and such. I get that.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, how many times have I heard when people say, I work for the government, I don't make any money, I do it for service. Government workers have incredible benefits.
Yep.
Great retirement. It's a good life. Now, my family, my father served in the military, worked for the government. My mom's texted me they were furloughed back in 1995. You can get unemployment, but no back pay. That's what happens. But on the other hand, for my dad, it was all about duty.
Mm-hmm.
And for people today, I mean, it's your job. You go in and you work.
Yeah.
And I get this. I don't want to be, hey, go work for free. But on the other hand, this is national security.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're hired to stop the terrorists, then you go in, Jack Bauer, and stop the terrorists.
Right.
If you're an air traffic controller, you make sure the planes don't crash.
Right. Right. It's a simple thing.
We're
I
not
agree.
hearing that, though, from the media.
No, we're not. And I would agree with that some of the folks are probably not as dedicated as others.
Yeah, right.
And so I think it is an interesting thought. What about those that really do just take it as a duty? Do they, because it's their attitude, are they advancing more quickly? I would think so. I don't think it's different in government world. I mean, it is different. I get that. But it is different. But not completely different, that people who are dedicated to the job, that do a good job, work extra hours, they move up in government too. And so I think that our reward comes anyway. It may not be today, but the reward of caring about your job, about being dedicated, about showing up is something that happens. It's just a natural thing. And so those people that don't show up, they're not going to advance. There's just something that is in their attitude about the whole thing, that they just want to get a paycheck and they're not dedicated. So they're not going to move up. I think that people separate themselves out, whether it's in government or in private industry. It's just easier in private industry, I think.
KIDO Talk Radio, traffic and weather together. Let's get you to work safely and on time.
7's Eric Everett.
And we go back to the phones here. We go to Marsing with Dave Petzo, Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Kevin. How are you today?
Living the dream, and you?
Enjoying life. I just have one comment to make about this government shutdown. The problem is Congress don't care. They get paid every 2 weeks, just like workers do. And if they had their pay suspended, you wouldn't see this crap going on in government.
That's a great point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But unfortunately, Congress would have to enact that bill or vote for it, and that will never happen. Every one of these deferred employees should sit down with a pen and paper or get on their email and email their congressmen, elected officials, and say, enough's enough.
Bill, great call. Thank you.
Have a good one. Thank you very much.
All right. Before we get to, actually, by the way, I do want to thank Chris who sent this in. I'm not a government employee, blah, blah, blah. Here you have it. I am a government employee working for Department of Homeland Security for no pay. 75% of government agencies are funded through September, hence the partial shutdown. Here's a list of agencies that are shut down: Treasury, Agriculture, Homeland Security, Interior, State, Department of Housing and Urban Development, Transportation, Commerce, and Justice. Now people are going to say, well, we can't go with federal lawsuits. How are we going to get away with that?
It's interesting. I didn't know the government really funded parts of it by quarter then? I mean, how do you have a partial? These folks their funding is ended and the rest of government is
That's why it's a partial.
Covered?
Right, yeah, it's a partial shutdown. And in fact, people thought about doing it piecemeal, but the Republicans and the president said no, that would erode how significant the importance is. Here's one more thing, and then we do quickly have to get to the markets before Dave Petzo has to go into the world of capitalism, the real world. Let's go back for the previous 2 years. The Republicans in Congress could have done this.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but they didn't. They didn't want to support the president. Dave Petzo, what about the money? We didn't even talk about money today. All you want to do is talk politics.
Yeah, because that's my thing.
That's what you're so comfortable with. The president makes a national address, and then you get to fill in the next day. It must have been very fun for you.
It was. I actually enjoyed that. It was good. But anyway, it was. It's a test for sure, Kevin. That you have to do this every day. I'm serious. It's you come in thoughtful and you come in prepared every day.
Take off Monday just because you said that. Please, you can take Monday off.
I can take Monday off
Yeah.
just for that. Okay.
Right.
All right. I'll see you the day after Martin Luther King.
Yes.
Okay. But but anyway, the as far as the markets go, fundamentals are very strong. This is politics. It's a separate ball game. It isn't affecting the economy, although the press has to talk about stuff every day. We forget that they just have to make stuff up. The markets are still volatile, but we've gotten off to a good start, and I think we can start focusing more on fundamentals. We will see this earnings season if, in fact, the corporations are still making great profits, and that's what we're in right now. So we're going to find out in the next couple of weeks here how solid a footing the economy is on. But it looks like it when we talk about how great the jobs numbers were. They were just off the charts, Kevin, and I think
nobody covered that.
Of course not.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit the narrative that things are all going away and President Trump is doing a good job on the economy. Doggone that guy.
Now, you're going to be here next Tuesday, is that right?
I will be.
All right.
You going to have me?
Yeah, we'll make Ray, is that good? Is it okay if Dev? Okay. Ray says it's okay.
Ray said it's okay.
Right.
All right, I'll pencil it in.
We'll pencil you in.
I'm going to check with Rania and my people and make sure it's okay.
Dave Petzo, thank
I'll see you Tuesday. Thank you.
All right, you're listening to Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Good morning, Kevin.
All right, out to Jeff Manasso joining us from Fox News Radio, exclusively on KIDO Talk Radio, right here in the Treasure Valley. And before we get to this case, I was thinking of you yesterday, Jeff Manasso, a story in USA Today where you have some of the car manufacturers actually bringing back cars. And I know I can never scoop you, but Toyota bringing back the Supra.
I'm all for that. That was my first car, a Toyota Supra, and I just think I love that throwback. I love the feel of the Supra. The new look is cool. I don't know. I think that the favorite Supra of mine was, I had a 1979. It was a piece of crap, but I like the 1987 version of the Toyota Supra SR5.
Right.
So this new the new version of the Toyota Supra is a pretty sweet car.
Well,
anyway,
and they're bringing back the Ranger. Of course, that's been rumored for years. Ford is, and they never should have gotten rid of the Ranger, in my opinion. But what do I know?
Well, they move on to different things, and some things work out and some things don't. But right now, people want trucks that are not big V8s, as we've all talked. And in the day and age when we're going towards light trucks and SUVs and crossovers, the Ford Ranger was brought back amid the success of the Chevy Colorado and other smaller or mid-sized trucks. So they hope to have some success with it.
Indeed. Let's talk a little bit about this story that continues to evolve. It was the subject of 48 Hours. I caught it over the weekend. This young lady and her disappearance and her escape, and now the prosecution continues.
This is a case that not only captivated the state of Wisconsin, but really the country, maybe even the world. This 13-year-old girl who was abducted from her home October 15th following the killings of her parents. Nobody knew anything about where Jamie Kloss was. There was an active Amber Alert for 88 days in Wisconsin. You couldn't go anywhere on the freeway without seeing a billboard, without seeing a semi-truck, looking for Jamie Kloss. And this case was broken wide open Thursday when she escaped a rural home in the woods in Douglas County in northwestern Wisconsin, where she was imprisoned. We now know, according to the criminal complaint, imprisoned at times underneath suspect Jake Patterson's bed whenever he'd leave the home or whenever he would have guests over. This is a horrific case, and the criminal complaint spells out just how Jake Patterson carefully planned this kidnapping October 15th. He targeted her after seeing her at a bus stop. Does that not give you chills if you're a parent? I mean, you try to protect your kids, but if somebody sees your child at a bus stop, and that's where they target your child, it's chilling. And that day, literally that day, he quit his job of all but 2 days, went to Walmart, got a mask, started planning. So meticulous. He shaved his head. He disabled lights in his car, the interior lights, the trunk lights, disabled that pull cord in the trunk that that you can pull and escape a trunk if you're locked in. He chose the gun based on its common use. It's just a common gun, a Mossberg shotgun, wiping off the shells, everything, dry runs. A couple of previous attempts were thwarted because he got scared off because of too many people in the house, too many cars in the driveway, and then the attempt, the actual kidnapping and killings of her parents, the details that he admits to and that Jamie has told investigators of, it's chilling.
And yet, on the other hand, thankfully, this young lady's alive.
Thank God, because this is a case where most cases like this they don't end up like this. It just rarely happens. And so when you hear cases like this, it's much like Elizabeth Smart, who's also weighed in on this, saying, thank God, and the public needs to give this girl her space. The criminal complaint was a little sparse in terms of details about Jamie Kloss's treatment inside that home. And I think that's okay, because he's charged with 2 counts of intentional homicide. He's admitted to that. He's charged with kidnapping. He's admitted to that, and he's also charged with armed burglary. So that's enough to put him in prison for the rest of his life. He'll never see the light of day. He was in court yesterday, officially charged. You could see his demeanor a little bit. He said yes or no, sir, to the judge, and perhaps you can glean a little bit into his psyche by looking at that. But this is a monster. He's admitted to do it. It's no longer alleged. This guy's a monster. And Jamie Kloss's family members have said that they will be in court every single day until this guy is put away. He's back in court in February.
Jeff Manasso, we appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
You bet.
Phone number is 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Kevin Miller in the morning, and we'll continue on talking about the government shutdown. And you have so many folks that are not working, and yet you have others that don't miss the government. Now, again, coming back to this at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, I do want to thank Chris, who gave us the list of the departments that are impacted: the Department of Treasury, Department of Agriculture, Homeland Security, Interior, Department of State, Department of Housing and Urban Development, Department of Transportation, Department of Commerce, and Department of Justice. And as I said off the air to Dave Petzo, what's the more powerful narrative? Keeping America safe, keeping America safe from the drugs, the terrorists, building the wall, or doing their own thing and letting folks come in. Now, we wouldn't be very fair if we didn't go back to the 2 years that we had a Republican House or Republican Senate and nothing was done on the wall. It shows you the commitment of those Republicans that left. If you truly wanted a wall to be built, it would be built. If you truly wanted to do something about drugs in America, by the way, I am so thankful that the folks from Drug Free Idaho, Keep Idaho, are advertising on this program. Thank you for that. Again, you have to be a dope to do the drugs. And those people that are in recovery, we pray for you. God bless you. Keep fighting. Those people that are suffering from addiction, don't give in. Don't let those drugs destroy your lives. Don't let the drugs control you. And we want to thank the folks at keepidaho.org for sponsoring our program. We appreciate that. We share your message. The idea that marijuana is not good. It is for losers, and we have to. We want to again. I thank them for coming out with those TV ads and now embracing the Kevin Miller Show on KIDO Talk Radio, because our message is the same. You know, the pro-drug propaganda has to be stopped, stymied, and has to be shown the other way. Right? That's the big move. At 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And by the way, the young lady that called in when we had Dave Petzo on, I mean, saying that she doesn't want the grocery tax repealed. She doesn't save any money. That's the first time I've ever heard of that. Holly in Caldwell with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Holly.
Good morning. So I wanted to share, I saw an article, and I apologize that I don't remember the source, but I was surprised to see that the article mentioned that the person that found Jamie Kloss when she escaped said that she went to the neighbors and quickly said, "Get your gun." And I think that's a prime example of wacko cases like this when people obviously need their Second Amendment right. And, you know, we're going into the legislative session right now, and so I just encourage people to join the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance and to let their legislators know that they oppose red flag laws. There's been a lot of evidence that those bypass due process, and we need to stay strong on getting better gun laws in Idaho. And
a lot of people are watching the legislature, and a lot of people think it's the same old, same old. There's no movement to repeal the grocery tax. You got the vaccines running wild, being mandatory for 12th graders.
I know. Yeah, they had 4 Republicans actually cross the line and vote with Democrats on that. I had emailed lawmakers that day, and I think it was down by 1 vote, but it's unfortunate. It's good for parents to know that on the vaccine that they still have the legal right to opt their children out of that vaccine and any other vaccine that they want to. And all they have to do is write a letter. They don't have to sign the paper the school provides. They can write on a piece of paper that due to religious or other reasons they're opting their children out of vaccines. So.
All right. Holly, thank you for the call.
Thanks.
580-5436, 580-KIDO. That's what it comes down to. The narrative here.
If they can stop me from building the wall, that's good. This is the reason why they don't want the wall built. Because they all know it works. They all approved it numerous times. I mean, Chuck Schumer had his hand up every time this would come up. The senators know this. They're only doing this because of the 2020 election. Because I said I'll build the wall, and I'm going to build the wall, and it's only one of many things that I promised.
It's, again, a temper tantrum, as was mentioned, a temper tantrum by the president. I'm a mother of 5, grandmother of 9. I know a temper tantrum when I see one.
You know, that's the thing. Nancy Pelosi, why aren't you meeting with the president? Why, when you had the Secretary of Department of Homeland Security there and giving you the facts, you refuse to listen? Because it's not about the government workers. It's about sticking it to the president. It's about 2016. It's about 2018. It's about 2020.
Well, it's unfortunate because it's totally unnecessary. And in fact, we have given many paths to alleviating this, opening up government.
Right. They don't want to open up government. They like this narrative. It comes down to the more powerful narrative. People that are working for the government, not getting paid, and suffering a personal hardship, or building the wall. Who wins? 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Blessed to be with you, Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. I love this headline from the Washington Examiner. 30 Democrats in Puerto Rico with 190 lobbyists for a shutdown. Let's go to the phones. Tea Party Bob joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. How are you today? Nice to have you back here, back on the homeland.
On the mainland. Welcome back. Welcome home.
On the mainland. The big kahuna is back. You know, I hear you talking about one of my favorite subjects, the repeal of the grocery tax. If you read and listened to the Governor Little's State of the State address, he said, and I quote, "I propose working together with you to set the stage next year using our budget surplus to eliminate the grocery tax once and for all." Everybody didn't see that next year. He said the legislature delivered one of the largest tax cuts in history and started talking about how the business taxes are the lowest since 1934. Well, I'd like to know how many Idahoans actually saw larger paychecks at the lower end of the pay scale. You know, the ones that pay a substantial part of their income to the grocery and gas taxes. I'd like to say to Gina that the grocery tax hits the low-income families disproportionately harder than they do the middle and upper-income families. Eliminating the grocery tax would cost the general fund $79 million a year. That money could be in the pockets of those low-income Idahoans. You know, it seems that our governor and legislators are always willing to add more expenses and taxes, but never seem to reduce the size of government or reduce those expenses and taxes. We're going to see if our new governor is real conservative in the next few months by his actions. And so far, I will give him the benefit of the doubt. But it's not going to last long.
Right,
There's
but back to
also a little
but back to the point. Look, this should have been item number one.
Absolutely.
And the tax cut we got, didn't we get that because of the feds? Most of that was because of the Donald Trump tax cuts. The state just kind of went along with it.
Anytime they talk about a tax cut in this state, you really have to check your wallet because you're probably missing more money than you got in it. So don't believe everything they tell you.
Sure.
You know, everything is check and balance here. They get the balance, and we write the checks. You know, there's also this little matter of more state bureaucratic overreach with this new pending mandate by the Idaho House and Welfare Committee that voted 7-6 to allow an executive agency rule, aka regulation, to become law. Mind you, 4 Republicans who call themselves conservative voted for this rule. This pending rule will require 12th grade students to receive the meningococcal vaccine. The average cost to completely vaccinate a child is $2,192. Big Pharma has been pushing this vaccine for adults, which could mean over $2 billion in revenues to them. This is all about money for the drug industry. And I'd like to see how many of those representatives who voted for this vaccination received campaign contributions from the medical and pharmaceutical companies. I'm sure this rule was the brainchild of Representative Dr. Fred Wood, or as we call him, Deadwood, who is part of the establishment medical community and a proponent of these vaccinations. I'd like to know how much Dr. Wood received in medical and pharma campaign contributions.
Well, but you can always look at that.
Right,
but you can always look at that. Those are public records.
I have, and you would be surprised if you looked at them. It's really nice to have you back. It's an opportunity to. I
don't think I ever left.
We haven't heard anything about your episodes and your big adventures over in Hawaii.
I was keeping that to myself.
Well, aren't you going to share a little bit with us?
You're an award-winning journalist. What would you like to know?
Well, how is the food, first of all?
Why? Is that because I'm a fatty? You're asking about the food?
No. I'm just curious. I mean, I saw some nice pictures of some very nice dishes. It looks like you were really enjoying yourself.
Yes, as much as I can away from my beloved Treasure Valley. So what Tea Party Bob knows that a lot of us don't know is that I did get a chance to go on vacation for a brief time with Dorothy. That would be Mrs. Miller, and we went to Hawaii, the first time for both of us there. And it was fascinating to see the government shutdown in action.
I think it's great having you back here.
I will say this. What was my takeaway from Hawaii when I visited Pearl Harbor and the park's tour guide said that we put people in concentration camps in World War II? Can you believe that?
What did you think of Pearl Harbor?
Well, you're missing the point. A federal employee was telling a group of American tourists that we put people in concentration camps in World War II.
Well, maybe that's not why we're not paying that federal employees.
Right, but I mean, it was like a citizen of the world. It wasn't like America versus Japan. It was, well, we cut off the Japanese oil, so that's kind of why they attacked us. That was the narrative from Pearl Harbor. And again, a federal employee from the Park Service was lying about what we did in World War II at Pearl Harbor. We didn't put people in concentration camps. They were internment camps. There's a big difference. Was it right? No, it was horrific. But the idea, we talk about the libs, but our own people doing it, that we pay, was eye-opening. And I will be lodging an official complaint with the Park Service on that. I have to run, but God bless you, my friend.
You too, my friend. Nice to have you back.
Nice to be back. Good morning, Dave.